good morning. Welcome to our live talk program. This is Lloyd Grubb here, your host on Revive Reform Radio, doing our live talk program covering wisdom for living on this year, Friday, Rise and Shine and Give God the glory. And this morning here, I'm looking at the topic the careless and indifferent see no higher purpose in our for life or in our to life. So, welcome again, top of the morning to you here. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, I thank you for the blessings of your word and the blessings of this day. I pray that you may be with us as we study together. May you bless my mind and those that are listening for Christ's sake. Amen. So, looking at this topic, the careless and indifferent see no higher purpose in or to life. So, no higher purpose to life or no higher purpose in life. And so, we don't want to be like that. We want to be able to see higher purposes in life and want to understand the construct of life, why we're here, and why life work a certain way. And when we do this, then we find our place and we find the true value or the true meaning of life. And so I'll go back again to my theme. My theme is our process is different because we are seeking God's blessing and favor. So our process of life is different. We find God's purpose for us, and then we work within that purpose. And when we work within that purpose, we find ourselves. A lot of time, I believe people cannot. Pardon me. They couldn't get to hit the mute button there, but a lot of time I think people cannot find their purpose in life or why they're here is because they have not found who made them. The concept that says we're just here by accident or we're here for other purposes is leads many people to what they call an empty life, I guess, because what is a process of life? What is the purpose of life? So our process of doing life is different. The way we eat, the way we take care of our bodies, the way we think, the way we approach life, approach finance, approach work. Everything is a different process. Our process is different. And so what the society is doing, we see, we study it, we understand it, but we study the process as it laid out in the Bible. And as we do that process, we get different results. Our results are different. And that's what we do. So notice here, righteousness exalts a nation and a person. Anything else leads to loss, ruin, and shame. And that's what we see. We see in a society something that I'll be talking about more when it comes on to the economic system or the financial system. Their financial system is a different system from ours, even though we live within that system. And it's a process of boom and bust. Things go up exponentially extreme, and then it comes down extreme. But so it is with people and life when they live a life of drugs and alcohol. It can go really down or it can go really up, and it goes to extreme. And we try not to go life and do life to these type of extremes. We try to do life where we have that balanced process. Our main text has been in Hebrews 11 verse 1 and 6. It says now that Hebrews 11 verse 1, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So when we have hope, we are looking for the future and we're looking for tomorrow. But since we start life similar to Adam and Eve, where we're just introduced to life and we don't know really what is going on, we take instructions, and as we take instruction from God, He really instructs us through the Bible of what's the structure of life and what tomorrow will bring if you do certain things today. So again, if the farmer goes out and sow a seed, he's sowing the seed because he's looking for a harvest down the road. So in our life, we want that as we get older, we reap an abundant harvest. Normally, we start out with school and our parents, and they kind of guide us in a certain way and tell us this is the structure of life. This is what you do, and as you do this, if in the future, and you will get this result. So everything we do, from going to school to work, is always future looking. We work for pay in the future. And so that's life. And so we work for sowing seed so that we can reap in the future. So whatever we did a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we are seeing the results today. So we approach life with that process, that life is always forward looking, that I exist today, but I live for tomorrow. And we always live with hope because we don't know that, especially for us in a world of mortality, we don't know if tomorrow is guaranteed, but everything we do today is for a pay down the road, whether it be a paycheck or health or some security or some peace of mind or whatever we're working for. So faith, you believe, is the substance, it's solid of things hoped for. Whatever you're hoping for, you're looking for retirement, you're looking for to be able to be financially independent, you're looking for a happier life, you're looking for better health. Whatever you're doing is always hope. You hope for it because you're looking down the road. Hope is not what you have, hope is what you're working for or you wish you would have. And it's the evidence of things not seen. So there's things I don't see, but I can believe it. Everybody that goes and do an invention, they have to believe that something is going to come out of the work they're putting in, and they imagine what that looks like and then they work towards it. It doesn't matter if you're building a community, you're building a house, you're building a business. It is something that's not there that you want to be there in your life so that it can bring a certain value to your life. It's all go back to what you believe, what you trust, and the process you trust. And so when we go to the Bible now, we're trusting a process that we believe is will give us pay us in the future, and it has good value, and it is trustworthy. So that's why we come to the Bible, because without the Word of God, there's no faith. Faith is based upon what we hear from the Word of God, and so that's how you approach life, right? You because again, you could go to some certain teachings in various different teachings in the world. And the question is it based upon something that you can trust? Is it something that you can say, this has proven time and time again, as I view throughout history, is proven to be very valuable? And you can say the same thing for the Bible. Through the Dark Ages, through the various different empires, you can see every time the Bible becomes taken seriously. I'm not talking about just the praise and worship part of the Bible, but the lifestyle part of the Bible and the morality part of the Bible. You see society always flourish because the principles there are very powerful principles that will give you success. So this is what faith is. And so that's why our process is very different. And that's why we don't approach life in a careless and indifferent way, because life has a very specific structure to it, and we want to follow those structure. So notice here, without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So when we approach the Bible, we approach God because we just believe those are the words that God gave it to us. We have faith in that. We believe in that. We now approach God in a diligent way. That means it's painstaking, it's patience, it's applying, studying, applying, observing, tweaking, and we're fine tuning at all times. And the more we fine tune is the more we come to find our process in life. And our process in life is the process of life, is the purpose of life, what we're here for. So everything I look at life is like I'm just finding out what I'm here for. As I say, you're working with nature. When you're working with nature, you're just finding the process of life. How does life work? And if you understand how it works, then you can get results. You know, every invention we have is just a theory or a principle that exists in nature that can be duplicated in a product. And every service that we do that people make money from is just the purpose of life. You know, somebody said, well, you know, Paul says he's a bond servant. We all are bond servants. It just some people can accept it and go to work and do excellent, while some people cry about it and they mourn about it. But that's the process of life. Just think about that. Everybody, unless you're not employed, everybody that is functional and working age, that's the process of life. We all are servants. Somebody say, I want to be the CEO of a company. He's a servant also. He just now just serving the stockholders. Everybody's a servant. So when you understand that that's the structure of life, then you can diligently do life this way, and you find that you will be rewarded. You know, somebody said, where you get that? Well, the Bible tells us, by the sweat of your brow, you shall eat bread. And all the prophets of the Lord, all the preachers of the Lord were servants. They're serving the people. And some of them was even serving the people, and they have, you know, like a part-time job or a full-time job or some type of job. Or if they were called, all the time they were called from the plow, from the carpenter shop, you know, and to full-time ministry. Whichever way, you're always serving. You know, as I say, you're either serving in the carpentry shop, or you're serving at the preaching, or you're serving at a hotel, or you're serving at a motel, or you're serving at a high-end luxury accommodation. You're still serving. So when you see the structure of life and you start to understand not just the fact that you see that you exist because you must go to work, But you read the Bible and Bible tell you, oh no, this is the way to do it. You'll be like, oh, this is a way to do it. And when you do it like that, you get better results. You say, oh, and then I will say to you now that that's diligently seeking the Lord. And when you do that, you get rewarded. When you see a person now that refuse to put in their labor because they're thinking they're probably goofing off or they're probably trying to trick people out of money. And you see that they'll get away with it for a little bit, but after a while, it catches up with them. And you realize they're not rewarded, they're going to be punished. So the Lord is a reward of them that diligently seek Him. All right, so now I've gone through some of that because I always have to go through for my mind and your understanding to catch up where I'm at. So that's normally my introduction. I said it, I guess, fast. So notice now in Proverbs 13, verse 18 through 23. Here we're going to read a few structure of life because today, as usual, we're talking about wisdom for living. And the whole process all week, I always try to go with wisdom for living. But today, that's always my focus, wisdom for living. So now, notice in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 18 through 23, a few wisdom for living here. And this to me, I call it, one of these quick passages from my mind would be telling me the structure of life. And when you practice this, I'm going to show you now how, in my mind at least, why this works, some of these principles work. So notice here, Proverbs chapter 13, verse 18. Poverty and shame shall be to him that refuseth instruction, but he that regardeth reproof shall be honored. So this is part of the structure of life. It doesn't matter if we're talking about instructions from a preacher, from your teacher in school, from your professor in college. It doesn't matter if he's talking about from an older family member, or older friend, or even somebody your age that is trying to teach you something. You're at work and somebody's telling you, I'm going to tell you how to do it. You're going to work hard, but you got to learn to work smart. And they tell you how to work smart. When you go through life and you understand this is how we all exist in life, why people teach all the time, not just in school and colleges, why we in a world where there's an increase in knowledge, and here we are at a point where we not just have social media with all these data keep coming pouring out, video data, audio data, like what is called AI, artificial intelligence. We have all kind of search engine like Google and Bing and stuff like that. All of this is part of what I would say is instructions. And you show me a person who it refuses instructions. And notice here the structure. The person probably have a full-time job, but they refuse instruction. And they could be still working. It doesn't say here per se that they're not working. But you notice it says poverty and shame shall be to him that refuseth. Now I could have read this, and I read this 20-something years ago, and it didn't mean anything to me. Now that I'm at this age and I've lived a little bit and I've observed people up close and personal, peripherally. And I've noticed that this text is true. I couldn't tell you that this text was of great value when I first read it. Would have to really sit and think about it. And sometimes when you're reading, you're just trying to say read the Bible through, you run into these principles, you just keep rolling. You're just like, interesting. And you just keep blowing past it because you're trying to get to the end of the Bible, not necessarily eating and digesting what you're, or studying what you're reading. Because somebody say, I read the Bible. And I take them to this text and I'm like, I never heard of this text. So I've lived long enough now. And what I've observed is this is true. Show me a person that have a hard of hearing, or the ears have problem, but it's not physically something wrong with the ears. It's mentally something wrong with the hearing. The hearing has a mental hearing problem. And you show me a person who just suffer losses of the losses. And all you have to do to stop suffering those losses is just to listen. It's just to listen. No, so this here, instruction like this is as financial benefits. Just to Google something, Bing something, search something, watch a video, listen to somebody you know, ask a question. As I say, ask and it shall be given. And you save yourself a lot of financial headache. I'm going to do this. Just ask somebody, especially if somebody knows. You say, okay, I know somebody who know, probably would know, give me advice. And the person give you advice and it save you thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And when you're in this world and you're making a certain amount of money, even $100,000, $1 million, you can afford to lose money like that. I don't care how much money you make. Worse for somebody who makes less. They need all kind of instructions. They need to be constantly. The less money you make is the more you need to be very careful with what you make and how to learn to, cut corners and save money here, save money there, and don't waste money. But say it is same way for somebody who's making even $1 million a year, because that money can disappear quick. There's a few bad moves, you just bleed in cash. Next text. There's more we could talk there, but next text. The desire accomplished is sweet to the soul, but it is abomination to fools to depart from evil. So why? Because the person desire, we all desire, because they say today we live, we always have future. This is how our mind work, because that's the reality. We're gonna wake up tomorrow. Unless something bad happened to us, we wake up tomorrow, and the situation that we in is oftentimes we want a better situation. So we desire a better situation. And so when you desire a better situation, you work towards it. You try to learn how to do it, what to do, whatever, and you plan. Notice again, my topic is the careless and indifferent see no higher purpose in life or to life. But when we live, the moment we live, it doesn't matter where we wake up. We could wake up in this life, come to our cognizant in this life in luxury, or we could come to it in poverty. The moment you understand the structure of life, or you start to notice certain things in life, you always think, I can better my position. I don't care how rich a person is, how poor they are. If they're free or bond, they could be in prison. Any situation in you can better it. And the way to better it is simply to, number one, understand the structure of life, understand the process of life, understand order. And you start to work to better your situation, whatever situation you're in. Understand that there's a higher purpose to life, a higher process to life. And you start to go to those higher processes and your life will be better. So the desire accomplished is sweet to the soul. So when you have a desire, that means there's something, it's future. And you're going to work towards that desire. So what is your desire? What is your desire for your financial life? What is your desire for your health? What is your desire for your moral life? How do you understand what life is all about? As I say, everybody's going to be a servant. So how are you going to go at that life? Everybody's going to get old, as I say, as you know. And so if you're going to get old, are you preparing for that? Do you know that says it's going to come your way either way? So if you have $5, how do you use that $5? Because you could burn it today. But remember, everything we do, we're living for today per se, because that's the only day we can live for. But everything we do today is future looking. So if at a certain age, have you thought about what do you do as you get older? How is your life going to be? Because when we're young, our parents did that for us. When we come middle age, sometimes we lose sight that the fact that says, we're getting old and we have to take care of ourselves. So everything we do is always a process of looking forward. Show me a child in school, especially middle school, high school, that's goofing off, and show me a child that's not thinking forward thinking. And they're going to get punished for idleness because they're not forward thinking. So everything we do is always forward thinking. But it's an abomination for fools to depart from evil. So it's like it kills them. And I've met people like that. If you tell them, listen, take instructions, shake up your folly ground, break up your folly ground, start to change and do some things for your own best interest, man, they even hate you for it. So you say, oh, it's an abomination. Keep going. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. And I've seen this over the years. You always have to be, I've met people who they it seem to be they don't understand the value of having righteous people in their life, wise people in their life. You to me, the more wise people and progressive people and people that's trying to do something for themselves I can have in my life is the better my life is. The more there's a lot of foolish people. As I say, you go through life, you deal with, there's a lot of foolish people. And sometimes the foolish people are very much more entertaining. That's a fact. It can be very entertaining to be around foolish people because they have some of the most calamitous, ruinous, funny experiences. They just do, a foolish person just do the most foolish thing or say the most foolish thing that make you just, you laugh till your stomach hurt, how much you're laughing. But that's not a good way to do life. Because from we're young and now you're getting older, your life is just a constant experience of learning and learning how to be successful and how to be a better servant and how to do life wisely. That's what it's supposed to be. That's the structure of life. Notice I'm talking here about the structure of life. And when you're careless and indifferent, you don't notice this. But I'm telling you, the structure of life is what to me I found, and this is obvious, that whatever our parents were doing for us, whatever society is doing for us, whatever people in government is doing for us, is the structure of life. And the better you are at it, better you are at understanding how life works, is the better you're gonna live. So to me, what wisdom is telling me, if you want to be successful in this life, surround yourself with wise and righteous people. Now, the text here is just saying, point to the one characteristic of a person is wise people. Listen to wise people. Listen to people who are dropping wisdom. If you can hang out with them, hang out with them, because even the crumbs off their table is more of value than the whole serving of a foolish person, a whole table full of garbage that foolish people spit out. You'll be a companion of them. So instead of probably listening to some young dumb rapper or rock and roller, listen to a book, an audio book of somebody that is doing good for themselves and making wise health choices, financial choice. It doesn't matter what genre of life. You can find multiple areas and listen to them. Find me an audio book on somebody that is into finance. Find me an audio book on somebody that's into health. Find me an audio book on somebody into health and fitness. How to be successful, whatever. You listen to that, and I guarantee you, there's five of those books. And listen to those books, say next year, and I guarantee you, by the time you finish the end of the year, your life is better for it. There's a guarantee. I don't even question it. Because why? Because that's how you do life. You go find me some people online that is dropping some wealthy knowledge about health, about finance, about your personal life, about whatever. I'm gonna tell you, you keep listening to somebody like that. By beholding one become changer, you become wiser. That's why I encourage you to come and listen to me here, because even on sometimes my worst days, I would say, I'm probably tired. I'm probably the subject not coming together. I still feel like it'd be more valuable for you to listen to me here and hear what I'm saying. At least I'm attempting, making the best effort, even those days, to drop some wisdom. Why? Because you're gonna benefit from that. And by beholding one become changer, your brain's just going to start thinking a certain way, because that's my approach. My approach is multidiscipline. I don't believe in one discipline. I believe this life is too complex. So I'll read it again for you. This is a very powerful thing. This is an encouragement for you how to be successful. How you become successful? He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. I've seen this all my life. If anything else I say to you today, you can just go with this one. And don't listen to me. I have more to say. I have more wisdom here to say. But this is a very important thing. I can't overemphasize this. Listen, just start finding people. You go to a church, you run into somebody that talking, they sound wise. Man, even get that person number. Connect with that person. Anything you do like that, I'm telling you, you're going to improve your life. You listen to foolish people, your life is going to be destroyed. That's just a fact. Proverbs 13 again, verse 21. Evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid. So that's why our process, we don't go. As I said, the big criteria for me when it comes on to doing good to others is that I'm not trying to help or give away my money to people that is not worthy poor. That's my biggest criteria. And so, sometimes people can scam you, so you can't avoid people scamming you. But for me, that's one of the biggest criteria. The Bible says you don't give away your money to the rich people, all right? So that's another criteria. You don't give away money to poor people that are not really poor. They're just lazy. So that's a very important criteria. And as long as you do that, you give good. Not everybody will appreciate the good that you do, but don't worry about it. The Lord repay you because you believe in the Lord, and that the Lord sees and know that you do things from the righteousness of your heart, you'll be blessed. Notice here, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. So a good man leaveth an inheritance for his children, his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. So I come here for this verse. A good man leaveth inheritance. So you know what inheritance is? After the good man dies, whatever he's leave will go to his children. But he says his children, so even to the second generation, that means his grandchildren. That's how we say it, I guess, in modern, in our time. So a good man leaves an inheritance to his grandchildren. That's how we'll say it. But his children's children. But the wealth of sinners is laid up for the just, because that's the only way it happens. Again, this is a wisdom for living that we want to be able to live by. So notice here, at the time, secular people burn everything that they have and make, and any wealth that they have, on riotous living, on crazy lifestyle, and that they come to a point where they can't even have a house for themselves to live in while they're alive. So that person can't leave something for their children, much less see something for their children's children. So to me, if I was asking you, if you look at this text and I say, what position would you want to be? Do you want to be in a financial position where you have something that if you died today, your grandkids could have something from you? Not your children only, but your grandkids. You have that much. Or you want to be in a position where, per se, if you die today, your children get something from you. Which one would you want to be? Which one I think is more secure and is a better aim? Which one you think? The person that just has something, forget about the person that have nothing. They already, before they even turn 40 or 50, they are homeless. So they don't even have an inheritance to leave. Well, they have nothing to live on. They have no substance. But now the person who has something to live for their children, or somebody who have done such good that they have an inheritance to leave for their children's children. Also, this took to me in my mind the concept, the word legacy, because it's not just the financial, but it's also the legacy. Because I remember years back, there was this guy called Bernie Madoff, and he had robbed so much money that I think one of his sons killed himself, and the rest of the family changed their name. One is one of these Jewish financiers. He might be really into finance, and a lot of scam. And he changed his name. The kids changed their name, and then one of his sons killed himself. And I thought about that, and a text like this will come to my mind with a story like that. And I say that story because oftentimes I try not to talk about the individual personality. But it's good to look at, right? It's a good story to tell, and when thinking about a text like this. Because here's a person who he left a legacy for his grandchildren and his children. Legacy that they didn't have to change their name. That was not a legacy. Somebody that they wouldn't even want to anybody to know that they're connected to. And financial ruin, and even a legacy that caused one of his sons to kill himself. So this text obviously is talking about inheritance. Normally we talk about inheritance. We per se not talking about, so to speak, a legacy. But a legacy is in my mind here also, because oftentimes the two can be connected. As I say, a person right now that has lived for today, never thought about tomorrow, never thought about the structure of life, that this is the structure of life. The structure of life, if you have kids, you're going to have grandkids for the most part. And so you're thinking, what do I do for my family? That's another thing. You could just say, a good man leaves something for his family. And when we say family, you talk about his family tree. But the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just, those who do just. So they're not they're good people. So you think about a person that we're not talking about somebody that's disabled or anything like that. We're talking about a person that is able-bodied, that they just live for drugs and alcohol, and now they're on the street, but they ended up at children. And even have grandchildren. And just think about it. Say Thanksgiving, probably the parent of the grandchild, his grandchild, say, let's go look for grandfather. And they went to look for grandfather, you say on Skid Row or somewhere in North Philly or wherever, one of these cities where they have people like that living. And are we going to bring Thanksgiving dinner to grandfather on the street? And that's the legacy for the grandkids, right? Nothing. They basically, the grandkids have to probably come up and try to feed him on the side of the street or her on the side of the street. So this is not the structure of life. The structure of life is that the older take care of the younger. And the older look out for the younger, just like what happened. As I said, the structure of life is from we're born. You see the structure of life. The older take care of the younger. So in your life, it's a better position, I believe, to be in, where you're doing life in such a way, and you're being like the chipmunks or the squirrels on this time of the no, normally they finish by this time of year, but yeah, I think they're still going at it this time of the year, where they're saving up some acorns and stuff for winter. I don't know what they put it. They seem to be always busy this time of the year outside. And you're putting up so much that you're good, because to me it's a better position. I just want to be clear with this, what I'm saying here, the wisdom here. If you live life like this, where you have enough cushion that even your grandkids can eat off of your work, you've put away enough that you don't have to worry about it. That's wisdom. And when I notice, I said to you, righteousness exalts the nation. And you can't be indifferent to this concept, because this is life. You're supposed to be saying, not how do I work so that I can retire? How do I work that says, literally, my grandkids could eat off of my labor? If you go at life that way, genius. You're doing life the right way. Forget about you can retire. You need to talk about how your grandkids can eat off of it. Now, you might say, well, Lloyd, how important is this text? Notice there, we have a situation in the country where there's so much debt, and they're saying Social Security is in trouble, Medicare is in trouble, people's retirement is in trouble because there's so much debt in the system. And you say, okay, look at the grandparents in our society right now. What legacy are they leaving for their kids and grandkids? And you can go on and see documentaries where they say, I don't care, let the next generation fix the problem. Careless, indifferent to what they're doing. And they say it's good. Home prices run up, car prices run up, 30-something trillion dollars worth of debt and counting, ballooning. And the grandparents are running the society. Literally, Senate, Congress, and the judiciary. We have the grandparents literally running society, because that's how it's supposed to be. That's the structure of life. And that's the purpose of life. But they seem like they have no higher purpose than to coke it out and meth it out and war it out and whore it out and everything out. And then what happened now? They're doing like a Bernie Madoff. What happened to their kids and their grandkids? They have to almost disown them. This is the society we live in. Remember, righteousness exalts the nation, but you can see the behavior of the nation. You can see the behavior of individuals. But that's not a good person. A good person would not do that. You look at the churches are, oh yeah, you see them talking and everything is good. Plastic on TV. But you look at the churches, it looks so good. Pretty lights and everything like that. But it's hollowed out. And young people are devoid. It's just all gray hairs in the church. Because what happened? They didn't even leave a church. It don't matter where you look at this thing. Not even a church they're leaving for the kids and the grandkids. The kids and the grandkids are not in church. But that's not what the Bible tells us. Wisdom tells us that a good man leaveth an inheritance, a church, some money, a society that's not marred in debt, a society not marred in disease, a society not marred in warmongering behavior for his grandkids even. So if you do life like this, you can't watch the society. As I say, our process, as my theme is different from the people around us. We observe what they're doing and we be like, that ain't right. That's not biblical. That's not even reasonable. That's not the structure of life. So hence our process is different. Our process is that we do life where we have enough cushion, better for us. We have enough excess, not debt, marred in debt, but excess that even our grandkids can eat off the legacy that we leave them. So notice what I say. Legacy is involved in my mind in this text. It's not just money, because if you go and you do like Bernie Madoff, you neither leave money for your kids nor do you leave a legacy. Somebody that's broken on the side of the street, they neither leave money for the kids nor legacy. So notice it says here, much food is in the tillage of the poor, but there is that is destroyed for want of judgment. So even when we talk about the poor, a lot of time this is what we're dealing with. That he's saying, listen, there's work, there's money there, but it's a lack of judgment. So even with the poor, there's people who are poor and they don't need to be poor. What they have, they need to come listen to me in the morning and listen to people like myself. I'm not the only person out there that's dealing with certain wisdom, so that they can see how they can make more money. The issue is not so much how much we're making and stuff like that. It's how we're using our money. How much more we could make our farming better, because we are farmers. We're sowing seed and we're reaping. We have to plow the soil and whatever. You're just probably plowing with paper. You're probably plowing with a tool. You're probably plowing with a mic. I'm just here plowing with a mic. That's all I'm doing. But much tillage. For me, you're always fine-tuned. You're always trying to get better. You're always trying to get more out of your body. You're always trying to get more to your mind. You always try to think better processes. That's the process of life. And when you do life like this, your life is better. But people are careless. They're indifferent to even what I'm talking about here. It's they don't see no higher purpose in life. They're just living for today. They're coking it out for today. They're partying out for today. They always suffer. Always suffer. Oh, again, what do they leave the legacy for? Health, for the kids and grandkids. It's just a lot of genetical weakness, a lot of weakness, a lot of mental weakness. Not good. First Samuel chapter 17, verse 19 onward. This is the story of David here, when David came up and hear the rambling of a madman called Goliath. And David was going to dispatch him. So David was already trained up, unbeknownst to him, what he was being trained for, because he was slain lion and bear, and then he was going to take out the bigger bear. So in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 19, it said, now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. So when I read this, I always love, the Bible, when David says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with the keeper, and took and went, and as Jesse had commanded him, and he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fighting, and shouted for the battle. So David was told to bring some victuals or bring some food to your brethren, your brothers, as they fight the Philistine. For Israel and the Philistine, I put the battle in array, army against army. And so notice here, I'm not reading the news, I'm just reading what happened how much thousand years ago. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage and ran into the army and came and salute his brethren, if he did one of those salute. And as he walked, as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistine, and spake according to the same word. And David heard him. So he says, give me somebody that I can chop him up, so to speak. I need somebody to fight with, because we like fighting. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid, because he was very tall and humongous. And the men of Israel said, have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to divide Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter. And the man is father's house free in Israel. So it's going to be tax-free. So he's going to enrich him, give him some money. He's going to give him his daughter, and he was going to make him tax-free. Remember now, Saul, the Bible says, was very tall and was very beautiful. And so one could only imagine what David was going to get after this. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that killeth is this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that killeth him. Like there's a reward, right? So remember our main text. The Lord wants us to believe that he is, and that he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. But is this the process of life? You're going to work today. Don't you have some Philistine, some Goliath that you need to kill? I mean, you need to slay. Better word, probably. Slay, right? And if you slay that Goliath, then you can get your reward, right? Is that the process of life? You know, you could think about life and you say, Lord, what is this is the process of life? You want to get to heaven, right? Isn't it something about a reward? Reward for those that diligently seek the Lord. Everything is always about a reward, right? You put in your hard day's labor. I was watching something and they say, if you own a certain vehicle or whatever, you could probably marry to 3 wives. And I'm thinking people still think like that. If you own you own a certain amount of buildings and you own a certain amount of whatever, you could get 3 wives. Or as I say, well, if I own that, why can't you get like 6 wives or something? But life still goes on like that, right? It's like a reward. And so here, this is how we function, right? This is a structure of life. We put in our labor and we get the reward for our labor. That's all. And so we be diligent towards this. We're not careless towards this. We have to be painstaking towards this. And then we keep going. And so the people answered and said after this manner. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men. And Eliab anger was kindled against David. And he said, why comest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou might seest the battle. I know my vocal inflection on that is not clear. There's another way for to read that is better, not my talent. But notice there, it's like, why you come down to see this battle? I know, and he say, I know you. You think that you can slay him, don't you? But David just said to him, so bro, weren't you running? You were running. You one of them scared of him, right? I'm here to take your business. I'm here to diligently seek the Lord and to get my reward. So notice here, and David said, what have I now done? Is there not a cause? So when we go through life, you understand there's cause. There's cause, right? And because there's cause in this life, there's challenges in this life. When you approach life and you approach life like, look, there's challenges in this life and there's a cause. And if I solve the problem for this cause, then I get the reward. And that's a fact. There is a problem. There are problems. Life always have problems. But whether you're inventing something, whether you're having a job, a service job, whether you're having a task that you must do daily, whether life has a major problem, if you approach life like so much is not the focal point is not the problem. The focal point is that there's somebody need to solve it. And when you solve it, the structure of life to me and the process of life is you get rewarded. You cannot be careless or indifferent to this. You go at life that there's always a problem in your personal life, in society, that it is you're there to solve it. As long as you approach life like this, you will always be rewarded. As I say, think about a person that is either broke or homeless or whatever. I'm not talking about somebody disabled and that like that or a child. I'm talking about a working age person. And if they're in that situation, it's because they have not waken up to this idea. Wait a minute, there are problems and I need to solve it. And when I solve the problem, somebody's going to pay me to solve the problem. Because I'm getting rid of a problem for somebody. And as you do this, this is where your value come in. Your value is simple to solve problem. You're going out to today. And the harder problem and more difficult the problem is the more you get paid. Is the more difficult it is to figure out something, is the more value is in it. It doesn't matter if you're going for silver or gold. If it's in the earth and you figure out how to find it and how to retrieve it, somebody say, I'll pay you for it. And this is the structure of life. I'm going to read it again. Notice there's a problem, and David is prepared mentally and physically to solve the problem. And there's a reward, and David just simply say, I'll take the reward. And even when he was told what the reward was, he was like, really? The king's daughter? Man, this must be a serious problem. With a smile on his face. And you go enrich, and my family's going to go tax-free if I solve this problem? Yeah, because the nation success depend upon solving this problem. So what problem you see in society? And as we go forward in the future, I'll be dealing with you on this because I really want you to see this. At least this is the way I want to explain to you how I see life, how I read the Bible. And I just give you an intimation there. So when I read the Bible, what I see is that those who solve I don't care how terrible the problem is. Those who solve the problem, not every time you're going to go to a problem, you're going to succeed. As I say, prophets have died because they tried to solve a problem and the people weren't solved and they killed the prophet. But if the solution was given, like in the story of Jonah, then great. Jonah is recorded in the Bible. We read about him, heard about him from we were children because he solved the problem, even if it was a little bit unwilling. He must be a scary person that when he preached, they'd be like, oh, we believe him. I think we're going to die. So he's serious about it. He's like, that's always fascinating me, the story of Jonah. He really believed what he was saying. Other people waffle on what they're saying. You know, they're very flaky. But he was like, listen, I believe that God will kill them. I believe that God would also have mercy on them. But I believe in what I'm preaching. I believe God. And I too have that concept in my mind that I just really believe what the Bible said. And I can see it. So I read it again for you. And David said, what have I done? Is there not a cause? Is there not a problem? So when you look at life, the bigger the problem is the bigger your value. The less the problem, they say, we can't pay anybody to do that job. That's not the job you want. You want a job that whenever you do the job, people look at you do the job thinking, man, what a hard job. And you be like, yeah, I know. I'm going to have to get some sleep after this. It's hard. But the worse the problem, the more people run away from it, is the more your value is there because you run into it. I'm not saying run into bullets, I'm just saying. This is the structure of life. I remember there's tax benefit for this, there is Saul's daughter for this, and there is enrichment for this. This is the structure of life. You want to understand the structure, the process of life, how life works. You don't want to be indifferent to this. You don't want to be careless about this. You want to go at this as hard as you can. Life has higher purposes and you want to live this purpose. Now, notice here in Matthew chapter 4, we see this in Jesus, Matthew chapter 4, verse 23 and 24. Notice here, Christ here approaching life with this process. Notice it says here, and Jesus went about all Galilee, and teaching in the synagogues. So we just a pause there. People need to be educated. You go to school. If, for me now when I'm talking to younger people, anybody younger, I'm trying to explain to them that I said, this is the process right here. I don't want you to just go to school because your parents send you to school and the society send you to school. You must go there with energy. You must go at it hard. Why? Because this is a process of life. And when you leave school, your education just begun. You now have to go on autopilot. You take over your education because the more information you consume, I'm going to tell you, I said it before and I say it again, the brain is amazing at the amount of information you can consume. You just get some sleep, your brain refresh. You take some herbs for the brain. I take herbs for the brain every day. And you'll be amazed at how the brain is powerful. So first thing, Christ, teaching. Teaching is always number one in my mind. And preaching the gospel of the kingdom. We got to preach the gospel of the kingdom. I'm telling you here, when I say the gospel of the kingdom, now remember, when people say the gospel of the kingdom, they'll just say Christ died for the world. This would not be true to Christ's teaching. So I'm teaching you something here. This is important. When you hear somebody say the gospel, the gospel is just the teaching. It's a teaching. When Christ would teach about the soul went forth to sow, he's teaching the gospel of the kingdom. Because it says, this, I'm going to explain to you the kingdom. That's what he said, right? But people believe that the only thing you must say about the gospel is that Christ died for the world. That's very simplistic and that's very idiotic. It's very ignorant. When we understand Christ, every single teaching is the gospel because in it is the gospel. The seed goes in, it dies, and it comes forth. There is entailed in it the central pivotal point of the gospel, but it's also entailed our life. We are bond servants. We are there, and we are there to teach and to preach. The gospel is very broad, not the way they narrow it down to make it be easy for people who eat fast food. That's a fast food gospel. This life is very complex, so we keep going. He healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people. So he teach, he preach, and he heal. This, in essence, is dealing with human problem. Human have a problem of the brain need to be stacked with information and knowledge and wisdom. The brain need to understand morality and the gospel. The brain need to, and the body need to be healed of its diseases. These are some of the main key important points that we have. The gospel, teaching, healing, and then we'll say like feeding the people, clothing them. That's the structure of life. And any of these areas that you work in, you're solving humanity problem. You need to do it with energy. You need to do it with understanding. And when you do this, you'll never be without. You'll never have need because you're in a position that you're solving other people's need. You're trying to teach people. You're trying to preach to people. You're trying to heal people, and you're trying to deal with people's diseases and mental problems and all that. And his fame went through all Syria. Notice here, there's a reward. You see, his fame went to Syria, so you know Syria on the map. And they brought unto him all sick people. He has value now. He's the great healer that was taken of diverse diseases and torment. And those that were possessed with devil and those that were lunatics, they were insane, right? And those that were at the palsy, that means they were crippled, and healed them. Notice this is to the extreme. And when you do this in life, this is the structure of life. And this is what we do when we go to work. Everybody that works, they work in one of these areas that Christ is doing here. They work in the gospel, they work in teaching, they work in health. And for the most part, they have to feed people and not another part. That part was not mentioned here. But Christ would also feed the people and stuff like that. These are serve goods and services. And the more you do where people are at the extreme is the more value you have. Anything that is extreme is more value. That's the structure of life. You want to be successful in life, this is your go at life. You find where there's extreme problems and you figure out a solution and you'll be compensated for it. Christ became famous for this because that's what he do. And your value will be increased in life if you go at life this way. How much problem you have to deal with at work? Well, that means the more problem, the more money. And that's what it is. They have to pay you more. For this type of headache, you have to pay me more. I have to make this decision. You don't want to make this decision? I'll make the decision. You're going to pay me more for the decision. Revelation chapter 14, verse 16 is a warning. But now I'm going to show you here that even a prophetic term, we have the same concepts that are rolling. In Revelation 16, verse 6, it says, "And I saw the angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people." So it doesn't matter to me, my aim at least here, my process here is I'm trying to always fine tune what I'm saying so that it doesn't matter the audience listening to me, since I have people listening to me in different places in the country and outside of the country. That I'm always thinking, okay, if somebody was listening to me, say from, let's take a country that I've seen people listen, somewhere in European Union or somewhere in Africa, somewhere in South America, whatever, and Middle East, and they're listening, right? Is what I'm saying would be relevant. So that's where we're talking from principle, I try. Because our message is supposed to go towards everybody, right? Why? Because human beings and human problems are across the board. Like everybody need herbal healing. Everybody need medical care. Everybody need teaching. Everybody need family direction. Everybody need financial direction. Everything is always the same. It's the same. Different countries, same problems. That's just how life is. The gospel, when I say the gospel, everlasting gospel, the whole message, including the ideas and the principles of the death of Christ and what surrounded it, is important and central to everybody's life. To understand those principles are key to life and success. Notice here, Same with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to Him, because the fear of the Lord is a big enough knowledge. When you understand what goes around comes around, or what comes around goes around, or whichever way, you do life better. And give glory to Him, for the hour of His judgment is come. And worship Him that made the heaven and earth and sea and the fountains of waters. So this is important because remember, as I say, in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6, it said that he that cometh to God must believe that He is, and that He's a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. So he that cometh to God must believe that He is, that He exists, and He's a reward of them that diligently seek Him. So one of our first message here is that we worship a God that creates, that we believe He is. What is He? He's a creator. What did He create? Earth, heaven, everything. But He creates things with a specific structure, and it's a specific process of life. And if you follow the Bible and it instructs you in what you're really seeing in life, but it's a process of life, then you understand how to be successful. So notice He's saying, and therefore another angel saying unto him, Babylon is fallen and is fallen. So you want to know, what is Babylon? Why is it fallen? Well, if you want to not be in that situation and not suffer, then you have to understand, like I was saying to you earlier, if you look at what the grandparents of our society have left for their kids and grandkids, then you could understand why you want to learn that. And then why you want to learn is how to not suffer the consequence. Because again, if grandparent is trying to mess up your life, you have to figure out how to circumnavigate and not make them mess up your life, because they already messed it up. This is a fact. It's just a legacy of death and destruction, indebtedness, diseases, all this type of stuff. And they're just wrecking what the previous generation had left for them. And they're not living a good legacy. So you now have to say, well, how are they fallen? Because they're very confusing to deal with. And then when you understand this in church, in society, because it's the same group of people, and they've just wrecked the church, wrecked the society, but everything looks good because everything is plastic and debt to the hilt, then you understand they're fallen and how to navigate out of their destruction. That's why I do what I do here, because I didn't want to suffer their consequence in their church. So notice here, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So remember, the wine is her false teachings and her illicit relationships. And she have made the world drink of these things. And because she have these terrible relationships and these false teachings, it results in war, famine, and pestilence. So when you look at the wars fighting right now, it's that generation philosophies. It's nuts. It's the philosophy in the church, the philosophy in government is crazy philosophy that make everybody drunk and have dead bodies pile up. You can read that in Revelation 17. So when I explain this to you, this is my value. I'm telling you about my values. Even if you don't see it, I'm telling you this is it. My value is this. Is for being able to see that and see clearly what's going on, so that I can be of value to tell you how to first identify this destructive behavior, and then how to try to, because we're living in it and we're experiencing, but still how to try to circumnavigate it, to see the destructive behavior and say, oh, I see what they're doing. And I see how that's going to lead to war. So you hear me here and you say, what's my process? Because everything they do, I just see it as a mess. And so if they make this decision, I'm like, oh yeah, that's our grandparents doing dumb stuff and making dumb decisions. And all it's going to lead to is just war. So if somebody says, why you disagree with them? Because I disagree with them. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't agree with what they're doing. I don't see their philosophy. I don't accept their philosophy. Their philosophy is not of God. Is drunkenness. It's fornication. And all these, oh, we need to go to war for this country and go to war for... It's just their philosophy. It's them. It's not the country. It's been happening from Vietnam. Every country, it's just bloodbath. It's just that same generation. But now they're grandparents. They're not cute. And the third angel followed them, saying, saying with a loud voice, if any man will worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath. So you don't want to follow their philosophy, because you're going to get beat down. the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture in the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone for the presence of the holy angel and from the presence of the Lamb of God. So we don't want to drink their wine. We don't want to follow them. We'll deal with that this more. I need a little bit more time. But our topic again is the careless and indifferent see no high purpose in life. Just drink, take drugs, and be merry and burn up their resources. But we don't follow that process. We follow a different process. We follow a biblical process. We want to be able to leave an inheritance for our kids and our grandkids. May God bless you. Let us pray. Our Father who art in heaven, I thank you for your word and for this day. I thank you, dear Lord, that we have drank, dear Lord, and continue to drink of the pure fountain of water and partake of the herb for the healing of the nations. May you bless us, dear Lord, that we might live and not die. This is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, thanks for being with me here on Revive Reform Radio. Looking forward to talking to you again live Monday when we should talk about motivation. Until then, I pray that you may continue to walk with the King.